Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of ClintFlicks. And I say special because it is my 2016 year-end review. I'm going to talk a little bit about the top 10 movies, but just wanted to kind of spend some time talking about movies in general. So, a good year for movies in 2016, and I will post my final rankings probably on Twitter and Facebook for the 50 movies I saw that were released in 2016, 49 of which were in the theater. I will explain that. In the meantime, though, be looking out for the total list there. But keep in mind, that list and what I'm talking about now is my opinion. I am not a professional film critic. I don't have any degrees or credentials, really, but just what I thought of the movies. So, before I dive in, I just want to mention there are some that I didn't see as well on this list, including some of the Oscar-nominated movies like La La Land, Moonlight, or Hacksaw Ridge or Fences. I didn't see Collateral Beauty. Their list goes on and on. Before I get to the good movies, I want to talk a little bit about the rankings. First of all, everything after 10 can really be probably moved around a little bit here and there, depending. But there are two movies that were absolutely terrible, and these are the must-avoids. The first one, for me, is the BFG. I thought that movie was so boring. Maybe for the book it has something for you and something you can really get into. I have not read the book, but it just never got me hooked, and it never went anywhere in my opinion. It had a story, but it wasn't very captivating. The other movie was Zoolander 2. And maybe the hype from being good the first time was there, or I just feel like they didn't do a very good job with the characters and with the story, and even the cinematography was poor. So those two movies I'd completely take off your list because there's so many others to see. Before I get to my top 10, I want to mention a few honorable mentions that came close but not quite. A few animated flicks, including Moana and Zootopia, which I thought were both really well done by Disney. And I like that they've kind of gone beyond the annual princess thing they kind of did when I was a kid. So kudos to them. On the other end of that is Sausage Party, which I thought was hilarious and surpassed my expectations, and something I hope to see again. Two more I want to mention for sure would be Suicide Squad. I'm a sucker for superhero movies, as you probably already are aware, and Suicide Squad was fun to watch. Yes, there's a million plot holes, and like I think I mentioned on my review, which by the way, the 49 movies I saw in the theaters you can see at my YouTube channel on ClintFlicks. It was entertaining, but I think there's more to the story, and I want to see it again with the extended version. And finally, Hidden Figures was fantastic. I just saw that a couple weeks ago, maybe even last week, trying to remember now, but definitely worth seeing for everybody. Great messages in there, and a good story and entertaining nonetheless. So those are definitely something I would recommend to people. Without further ado, why don't we dive into the actual top 10? So number 10 is actually the one movie that I didn't get to see in theaters, and that's because it was a limited release, and when it was limited release here at some of the smaller theaters that are not close by to me, I did not get to see it, but that is Everybody Wants Some. The movie that happens at the beginning of the 80s, lasts 3 days before the start of the college semester. That sounds probably familiar and kind of and boring because it's directed and written by the same guy that did Dazed and Confused, which of course was the last day of school in 1976. They're not related, they have nothing to do with each other, but they feel very similar, and the story's neat to see how these guys who don't have major problems, they're not trying to save the world from an alien invasion, and they're not trying to overcome anything, in fact kind of the opposite in that sense, but it was entertaining, it was funny, it had some great actors in it that you're going to see in other movies. I'm sorry I'm blanking out, but the lead is also in The Edge of 17. And another character, it was in Hidden Figures, is John Glenn. So, kind of where they started. Good stuff. I would check it out. Anyway, Everybody Wants Some. Coming in at number 9 was a movie that I originally ranked actually lower, but I have always said I reserve the right to come back, and that is Hell or High Water. This movie was raw, and it was raw with really good acting. We already know the dude himself, Jeff Bridges, is a good actor. Totally proved that in this movie. And this is probably Chris Pine's best work. And I'm sorry for forgetting the partner of Jeff Bridges' character in this movie. But hands down, Ben Foster takes it away. Fantastic role. I doubt he was nominated for an Academy Award but in my opinion, he should have been. So, a Raw story, it's a little long, but it's very entertaining and worth checking out. Keeping the dramas alive with number 8 was Sully. I was pleasantly surprised with this movie, and I thought it really did a good job capturing the after effect. It wasn't, I mentioned this in my review, but it wasn't about the actual crash. It was about what happened afterwards and what went through their heads. And you know, Tom Hanks is a wonderful actor. That's not a surprise. Aaron Eckhart did a fantastic job in this too. And it was overall really well done. So I thought that was worth mentioning in my top 10. Moving on, number 7, if you know me, you'd probably expect to see a little higher. And that is, my mouse will work here, X-Men Apocalypse. I'm a huge X-Men fan. You all know this, I'm sure. But this movie didn't quite hit the mark that the others have hit. And the others being in the redone early 70s versions of the films. Which for some reason they can't hit it as well in the third film as they can in the first two. But nonetheless, it was entertaining. I liked the characters, lots of action. But they jammed way too much into this movie. I felt like too many characters, too much character development. Something they haven't done in the past. Something they actually did a good job managing and didn't with this one. So, still great. Still own it on Blu-ray. Just not where you'd expect to see it compared to other X-Men and superhero movies in the past. Number 6. Star Trek Beyond. Yes, I'm a nerd. That's not a surprise. I wasn't huge into the Star Trek shows. I didn't mind watching them. Generation I liked a little bit more. Deep Space Nine got better. Voyager is probably my favorite of them. But I really am enjoying these redone films. I think J.J. Abrams is the producer. He didn't direct the last one, Into Darkness, either. But again, good traditional Star Trek feel with a lot of adjustments and more edgy. So I thought this movie was good. Again, Chris Pine's in it. Chris Pine should be proud. He made 2 of the top 10 here. But, the acting is better by other people. Anyway, lots of action, very entertaining, just like its predecessors. Worth checking out. Number 5. Finding Dory. How could I not put this film on there? It was cute, it was funny, it was entertaining, it was well done. The marine life, the water, the visuals, everything was fantastic. What I really liked about it is it wasn't Finding Nemo again. The first fourth started out a little the same, but everything ended up, the other 3/4 of the movie not being that way. I like that nobody was ever in like horrible, life-threatening danger. At least I didn't feel that way in this movie. And maybe that's one reason I liked it, is that you could actually you can root for Dory while enjoying the ride and knowing that worst case scenario isn't that bad. Anyway, already on that on Blu-ray, worth checking out as well. Oh, and I'm sorry, my picture went away. There it is. All right, top 4. Now here's where it's going to get a little controversial, I think, with some people. And hear me out, okay? Rogue One takes the 4th spot. Yes, I loved it. I can't wait to see it again. Just like the episode 7, which I haven't seen yet, but loved that last year as well. It was a little more raw, a little more rough, and a little more just not a happy Star Wars story like we're used to with Jedi and even parts of Force Awakens. But the acting was decent in it, and the characters were fun. I loved K2. K2 made the film, but this was just fun to watch and fun to keep going and fun to put everything back together if you've seen the other Star Wars. So, well done. But there were 3 movies I liked more. Number 3 is my surprise. Doctor Strange. Yeah, it's not a surprise per se, but I knew nothing about Doctor Strange going in, but I loved this movie. And Benedict Cumberbatch was fantastic as Doctor Strange. Excellent casting choice and excellent execution on his part. Everyone else was good. I also saw this one in 3D. And if you watch ClintFlicks, you know I can't stand 3D movies, but this one was really well done with perspectives, heights, and adjustments happening with 3D. So it's not all bad when you see something in 3D. Definitely worth checking out. So you probably have figured out what number 2 and number 1 are. Without suspense, number 2 is Civil War. And this was hard to do. I loved this movie as well. Lots of action, great story, a great introduction to characters. My favorite scenes are, of course, the action. The airport scene is just phenomenal. I really like when they're leaving, I can't remember where they're leaving, but they're running with the cars. I thought that part was really cool. So the effects are cool, the story development is cool, and the ongoing story of the Marvel Extended Universe continues well. So good job. So in case you haven't figured out number 1, it's Deadpool. And why wouldn't it be? It surprised everybody. It was funny. It was entertaining. It was action-packed. It was gritty. It was very gritty, but it's hard not to enjoy it. I thought I showed this to my wife, and I didn't think my wife would love it, and she did. She thought this movie was fantastic and fun to watch, so something I'm really glad I purchased and can watch a few more times. The second one's supposed to have cable in it. I really hope they keep it kind of the low budget. I don't know if you know this, but that's why they didn't have an extensive gun scene or fight scene, because they didn't have the budget for it. Fox did it right. Let's keep doing it, okay? So anyway, guys, this has been ClintFlicks Top 10. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you guys keep going to the movies. One thing I want to mention that I really loved about the movies this year are the previews. And I don't know if you've noticed this as much as I have, but a lot of the previews now are putting in deleted scenes. And the first one that pops in my head is Why Him, which was a movie I liked. It's a little ways down the list, about in the middle, but it was that scene with the drone. If you remember the preview, the drone and I almost called him Walter White. The dad, I can't think of his name now. Bryan Cranston picks up the rock and tries to chuck it and misses. That never happened in the movie, but it still gave the implication and what was going on, and did great. I hope to see more of that as the movie year goes on for 2017. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching ClintFlicks, this review and others, and we'll be continuing it through 2017. So until then, thanks for watching.